So welcome everybody to Finding Your Online Audience. This is the last webinar series of our educational training before the holidays. I'm Katie Maxey, even though it says I'm Jennifer Berthelot. Katie Maxey, digital strategist with Louisiana Office of Tourism. I hope you're aware, but if you're not, we're hosting an educational webinar series on Tuesdays and Thursdays, except for this Thursday, covering a wide range of topics designated to help our partners learn some best practices in anticipation of the return of travel. All of these webinars are free and open to the public, so we hope you'll attend, but we also encourage you to share them with any partners you think could benefit. We will return with additional webinars in 2021. Oh, hold on. So keep an eye on louisianatravel.com/industry for new topics and links to register. As we move into the new year, we'll be covering more topics related to group travel, sports tourism, applying for grants, and product development. If you can't make a live webinar, don't worry. We're recording these and we'll have them posted on the industry portal to watch whenever you'd like. So with that, I'm gonna pass back to Teresa to present Finding Your Online Audience.
Great. Thank you, Katie. And I've gone off camera because my Wi-Fi connection has been squirrely this morning using my camera and the presentation. So knock on wood, my connection will stay stable the entire time. So welcome to everyone. We have worked with Sharon Calcote and Louisiana Byways for the past couple of years. We've done a series of rural tourism social media workshops. And one of the top questions when we survey after the workshops is, how do I know who my audience is? We find that this question comes up a lot too when people are trying to decide whether or not they'll participate in the Office of Tourism advertising co-ops. So this is a high-level look at a few ways you can find your online audience. We're going to discuss how to define your target audience and understand your target market. And then I'm going to share some tips and tactics for gathering data about your audience. Why is it even important that you know who your audience is? Well, first of all, you want to, if we think about last week's webinar about creating content, you want to make sure that you're delivering the right online content for your audience. But you also want to increase conversions when you're doing things that when you're actually marketing. So you want to make sure if you're a hotel that people are booking rooms, if you're an event that people are buying tickets, if you're a restaurant that people are actually ordering and coming into your restaurant. So you want those, you want to increase those conversions. So you want to make sure you're fishing in the right pond. The first thing you have to do is you have to know your product and you have to know what it is that makes you different from everyone else. If you're a destination marketing organization, obviously you're going to market to people who are interested in Louisiana. But like Roberta in the North Shore, you may be a very culinary centric destination. So you know you've got great restaurants, independently owned restaurants with some former kings and queens of Louisiana seafood. So you know that those are one of your top attributes that you're going to market. Others might market their outdoor product or specific events that they have year round. But each and every one of us has a specific attribute that we should be building an audience around. So we don't want to be, we've got something for everyone destination when it comes to digital marketing. Now, we've all been in the survey business for a long time, but I think that surveys are still a very strong tool for determining who your audience is. And I want to run through a couple of best practices on creating surveys. Obviously, you want to define your purpose and why you are surveying people, why you are having people answer questions. What are those top things you want to know about your audience? I like to come up with 5 questions. Why are you wanting to visit? What are you interested in? We want to build, we want to just get intelligence from as many sources as we can. And with surveys allow us to go directly to the source. So you can do an online survey, or you can have intercept surveys. If you're a visitor center, we do that every day, right? We get people's names, we have them sign in, we ask them where they're from. We might ask them why they're visiting, why they're coming through our area. But intercept surveys are a powerful way for us to learn about who our actual audience is. We can also do online surveys through a number of tools. SurveyMonkey and Google Forms are probably some of the most important, are the most universal and easiest to use. Those online surveys can come in the form of a pop-up on your website. They can be something that you're sharing out to your email marketing distribution list, or perhaps you might send surveys out to people who've ordered your visitor guide before. But as you think about your survey, you're going to want to create your questions and craft those in a way where you're getting enough data for it to be actionable for your destination or business. So obviously you're going to ask name, gender, location. You want to know what these people do. So what is the job title? A retiree is probably going to travel or have different interests than someone who is a manager and they're tied to their job location. What are their specific interests? So you can start thinking about personas. Are they interested in the outdoors, or in cooking, or in history? And then if you're surveying someone who's previously visited, you want to ask them to rate their experience. So did you have a good time? What would you improve? Things of that nature. In order to ensure success for your survey, you want to make sure that your survey is time bound. You want a specific deployment date and a time frame that survey is going to be available. You want to communicate that to your potential audience, and you want to make sure that that's time bound, as with any marketing effort. You need to have a promotional plan for your survey. So if it's an intercept survey, okay, we know that we're going to survey everyone who comes in the visitor center for a specific period of time. Now, you want to make sure that your welcome center staff is trained on the survey and they know how to deploy that. If it's a digital survey, what's the plan? Where are you going to share it? Is it something you might share across your social media channels? Are you going to share it out to people who have subscribed to your email marketing list? Is it going to be something that pops up on your website? Then when the survey is over, you're going to want to analyze that data. We are so guilty of gathering lots of data as an industry and then not really knowing what to do with it, not really analyzing it. So you want to make sure you look at those answers, you analyze the data, and then you utilize that to create those audience personas. So part of finding your online audience takes a little investigation. So you can investigate, or you can just keep doing what you're doing and not knowing whether it's working. And you have 2 free tools that you have access to if you have a website and if you are on Facebook. Facebook is the largest social media ecosystem, which is why I want to really lean into Facebook Insights to show you what's available and discoverable there about your audience. With Google Analytics, this is a screenshot from the Louisiana State Parks Google Analytics dashboard. So you'll see that when you enter Google Analytics, you have a menu on the left rail that takes you, you can learn all types of things about people who are visiting your website. Let me back up. Whether you are a marketing manager or a CEO, you should have access to your website's Google Analytics. You shouldn't be trusting your digital agency to read and tell you what your analytics are. You should always take time and dive into those yourself, because your analytics are going to tell you more than what people visited on the website, how long they stayed, and what your bounce rate is. This is where you can learn about your actual audience. From your online audience, you can infer that this is what your general visitorship looks like. So from home, let's dive into some of the audience analytics, and let me show you what you can find in Google Analytics. So if we click on audience and look at overview, this is going to show us just general user data and what the specific things we can find when we dive a little deeper. Specifically, we want to look at demographics, interests, and geo. So if we click into demographics and we look at an overview, we're served a couple of graphs. And this tells us who over a specific period of time that you identify is visiting your website. Now with Google Analytics, there are some visitors who are dark. It doesn't collect data on every single person who visits your website. So you'll see here that this data is on roughly 30% of the users of the website. This is a strong metric for us to be able to make inferences about our marketing audience. So you'll see here that 25 to 34 and 55 to 64 are our strongest audiences. So we're strong with millennials and we're strong with boomers. That's probably for state parks, that's probably your camping set and your RVers, right? From there, we can look at interest. And this is very much an overview of what people's interests are. It is, you're going to see that your percentages are much smaller, but people have multiple interests. And these interests are based on the browsing history of people who are visiting your website. So you'll see some obvious things popping up here. Pet lovers, food cravers, TV lovers, movie readers, outdoor enthusiasts. So you might be able to learn some things about your audience. There may be some surprises here that allow you to target your content to people you didn't realize would be interested in your brand. Finally, geolocation. I have heard more than once people say, I don't know if I want to participate in that LOT co-op because I don't think my audience is the same as theirs. So when you pose the question of who is your audience, many people are unable to answer that question. So even where is your audience from, they're not really sure. So your Google Analytics will arm you with the data to know where your website visitors are coming from and who has interest in your brand. So if you click under geo and into location, you're served your top 10 locations of people who are searching and visiting your website. From here, you can click and drill down into this data even more. So from I can click into United States and I'm served the top 10 states people are visiting from. And you can see that for state parks, since July, the majority of the visitation has been in-state from Louisiana, as we would expect, because they are our Louisiana state parks. But also, there's very high visitation from Texas. Well, let's drill down a little bit deeper and click on Texas, and we see that the majority of those Texas visitors are from Dallas. So we've got Dallas, Houston, Austin, and then so now all of a sudden we have a lot of data that we can start using to create personas of people who we know are interested. These people from Dallas are visiting a couple of pages on the website. They're staying 2.5 minutes. almost 40% of them are clicking a reservation button on the website. So people are converting, and this helps show us where our strong opportunities lie. Finally, Search Console. If you have Google Analytics and Search Console has not been enabled, I encourage you to do that. This will tell you how, when people are typing into the Google search bar, or on your website search, this will show you how people are utilizing that search. So people are looking for specific state parks by name, and they're looking for brand terms like Louisiana State Parks. So if you haven't dived into your Google Analytics lately, I absolutely recommend you do so soon, because you'll learn so much about who your audience is. Next, Facebook Insights. The Facebook advertising ecosystem, I argue, is one of the most affordable and effective media that we have at our disposal today. It's simple to use, and it's also it's very effective because you can target by interest, you can target by behavior. There are a wealth of targeting options for you. So if you are at your Facebook page, this is the typical view you're going to look at in the new Facebook. On the left rail, you'll see Insights as a tab on the left. If you click into that Insights tab, you're brought to the page Insights information. And this gives you an overview of all of the page activity for a prescribed period of time. Here I've toggled to last 28 days. So you can see how many page likes you've had, what your reach is. So those very high level numbers, the number of engagements in the past month. But let's click into people here on the bottom left and see what the people tab looks like. Again, as we're building marketing audiences, this is going to help us identify. It shows us that 67% of our fans are women, 32% are men. This makes us happy because we know that the women of the household are typically the ones who are planning travel for that household. So you can consume this information by your fans, your followers, people you've reached in that prescribed period of time, or people who have previously engaged with you. This drills down by country, by city, and by language. So this is, again, this is the Louisiana travel page, not the state parks page. So, but you see that there's a lot of Texas. It's not all in-state. So Texas, Georgia, Illinois is always high. So again, we're going to use these native insights, and we're going to use those to create personas. The persona is, who is it that is engaging with your page? So if we know that we have millennials, we can utilize we can drill down further and start creating these marketing personas. What might their interests be? What are the things that they would do in your destination? And you can start creating content around those personas, and you can create audiences for your Facebook or other digital advertising. If you don't have a Facebook pixel on your website, that's something you'll want to add. The Facebook pixel is going to follow, it's going to actually track the behavior of people who click on a link in Facebook and go to your website. So it's going to collect more data on the actions people take while they're on your website. And you'll be able to create retargeting ads, and you can use those audiences on or off Facebook. Finally, if you have an e-news distribution list, you already have a list of people who are highly qualified. There are people who've raised their hand, they've said they're interested in your brand, and they want to hear more from you. So here's a little secret you may or may not have done. You can download your e-news distribution list, and then you can upload it into your Facebook Ads Manager, and you can create a custom audience in Facebook of people who already subscribe to your email list. This is a really qualified audience, and it may be people who just haven't found your Facebook page yet. So that's a good one. It's a good trick. I just wanted to add that in here because it's I'm surprised by how many people didn't realize you could do this. So if you want to create more of a consistent audience across all platforms, I recommend you do that one. So we are at 11:25. I think I've probably given you all you can consume before this lunchtime. We're trying to keep these within 30 minutes. So let's open it up to questions and see if there's anything I can specifically answer for you about this or anything else. Any questions? Okay, quick poll before you hop off. How many of you have access? If you have access to your Google Analytics, type yes over in the chat box for me. If you don't have access to your Google Analytics, how many of you are going to request access to your Google Analytics? I hope you all will after this, and you can start learning about your online audience and really have analyze that data and be able to hyper target who it is you want to get your message to. Katie?
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for joining. Don't forget to check out our soon to be newly updated calendar in our industry portal at louisianatravel.com/industry. Thanks everybody. Have a great day and holidays. Have a great holiday.
Yeah. Happy holidays, everyone.